From the point of view of someone standing on Earth, the sun seems to move. But modern astronomy has demonstrated that it is the Earth which revolves around the sun. Ancient people did not know this, and when asking the question, does the sun revolve around the Earth, many interpreted biblical passages literally, and they found a number which referred to the movement of the sun coming up, the sun going down. They referred to Joshua 10, where Joshua actually stops the movement of the sun in the sky, and they concluded that the sun revolved around the Earth. A number of apocryphal works not only referred to the movement of the sun, but sometimes invoked the help of angels and phoenixes. In the 1st century, Philo had a few interesting thoughts on the sun. Clement in the 1st century and Aristides in the 2nd century argued that it was the sun that moved. Chrysostom in the 4th century argued that the sun moved and referred to the passage where Joshua made the sun stand still. Basil interpreted Genesis 1 literally to mean that the early light reaching the earth did not come from the sun, which was made at a later day. St. Augustine interpreted references to the sun literally, and these included his conclusions that it was the sun that moved, the conclusion that the first light to reach Earth was not made from the sun because the sun was created afterwards, and that Joshua stopped the movement of the sun in the sky. Elfric took biblical passages literally to mean the sun literally moved, and that Joshua made the sun stand still in the sky. Thomas Aquinas quoted a number of philosophers who had debated the sun and the nature of light, and came to conclusions such as light is spiritual and its speed cannot be measured, and that the light which reached Earth at first was different than the light that came when the sun was created afterwards. Luther felt that the sun literally moves, and Melanchthon quoted a biblical reference to a miraculous moving back of the shadow on the sundial. Calvin took some passages literally to answer questions like, does the sun move? It does. Did the sun stop in the sky at the command of Joshua, or did the sundial turn back several degrees? He concluded these were true, but then recognized that there were other questions about the sun, but felt that they weren't necessarily important to answer. Ambrose claimed there was a difference between the light of the day, which comes before sunrise, and the light of the sun. Many others interpreted these biblical passages literally to mean that the earth stood still, the sun moved around it, and that the references of Joshua stopping the movement of the sun were accurate. Copernicus proposed that the sun was the center that the earth revolved around rather than the sun revolving around the earth. He knew that this would be controversial and delayed publication of his life's work until the time of his death. It was attacked from theologians and considered to be heresy and dangerous to the faith. Galileo provided evidence in support of this Copernican model that the earth revolves around the sun. But he was attacked by the Inquisition and forced to recant under threat of torture and afterwards imprisoned. Many theologians afterwards condemned the work of these astronomers, claiming that they had to be false given that they contradicted the literal interpretation of biblical passages referring to the sun. At the end of the 1800s, there was a resurgence in literal interpretations of biblical passages referring to the sun and the earth. And flat earth societies and the Zetetic Society claimed that the sun revolved around the earth, that modern astronomy was false, and that to claim otherwise was to contradict the literal interpretation of the Bible. And just as modern creationists claim that one needs to reject the evidences of biology in order to stay true to religious faith, they claim the same with reference to the evidences of astronomy. In the early 1900s, Alma White was a strong supporter of the Ku Klux Klan, was a creationist who strongly opposed the teaching of evolution, and felt that the account of Joshua stopping the movement of the sun in the sky was literally true. These passages are taken from a book published in 1991, claiming that the sun revolves around the earth. Just as creationists often attack biology because of the reliance on evidence rather than the literal interpretation of Scripture, and claiming that thus biology is a false science teaching evolution that is in league with Satan against true religion. This author not only makes that claim against astronomers who claim that the earth revolves around the sun, but then also blames modern creationists for not taking the Bible literally enough, claiming that they are not truly upholding the faith because they should hold that the sun revolves around the earth if they take the Bible literally as true faith would demand.